Welcome to Building People, Companies, and Careers, brought to you by AccruePartners. I'm Amy Pack.
And I'm Patty Comer. We're your host on this journey through the vibrant business landscape in the Queen City.
This podcast is an extension of our mission statement at AccruePartners, where we have spent over 20 years fostering connections and building relationships.
Whether you're a client, candidate, or business influencer in Charlotte, this podcast is for you.
We are immensely grateful for your support throughout our journey, and now through this podcast, we're excited to share the stories that have defined our path.
So let's dive in.
Let's do it.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Building People, Companies, and Careers, brought to you by AccruePartners. I'm your host, Patty Comer, and I have with me today my business partner, Amy Pack.
Hello, everyone. It's great to be here for another episode.
We're the co-founders of AccruePartners, and in this podcast, we're going to bring to you clients, internal colleagues, internal team members, candidates, and anyone that shakes the business scene in Charlotte, North Carolina. So today we have someone with us that's a client, Mellissa Willems. She's the Director of Customer Care and Outbound Sales at United Rentals, one of our most coveted clients. And Melissa's been a candidate, a client, and now just a big advocate of Amy and I's business. So welcome to our podcast today. We're super excited to have you.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Yeah, so at the beginning of every episode, we'd like to start off with the classic interview question. Tell me about yourself.
Oh gosh, where to start? So I'm a Charlotte transplant. Came here about 8.5 years ago on a corporate move. Really our intention at that time, my husband and I thought, gosh, what an adventure. We'll move somewhere else for a couple of years. So we had a plan to be here for 2 years. So almost 9 years later, we have made Charlotte a home, is where my career is and where we built our family. So
awesome. So you came here by way of where? Tell us that story a little bit, in your career, like where you went to school, how you finagled your way to Charlotte. How did that all come together?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I'm from Canada, born and raised in Ontario. And truly, the way I came here was not a straight path. Went to York University in Toronto. Also went to University of Toronto for my education. And truly, I thought I was going into film. I really thought I was going to be a film producer.
Oh wow! So this is your jam over here
moment.
with the Everybody Studios.
Yeah, I had that dream from really a young age, and as I was going through school, an opportunity presented itself, and this is going to date me, I know it is, through a classified ad in a newspaper.
Yay.
It was an advertisement for an airline in Canada. They were looking for flight attendants. And I thought, gosh, that would just be something to do for a year, get a little bit of experience.
Yeah, go see the world.
See the world, earn a little bit of money. And so I kind of just veered left. I was a flight attendant for almost 5 years, loved it, had the opportunity to travel all over the world, really kind of scratch my travel itch, which I still have to this very, very day. And with that, I started to I had a lot of time off during the month, and I looked for a second job. Ended up meeting somebody that I was a flight attendant with. She said, hey, I work part-time at Whirlpool Canada. Why don't you come over? So I went there, ended up working full-time at 2 jobs because I really enjoyed what I was doing. I was in customer service. And we had a management change, and I followed along. The management went over to a company called Diversity, and I went over there with the intent of being there for 3 months and stayed 18 years. And so with that, we had a lot of change, and part of that change was we were acquired by a company called Sealed Air, who decided to make their headquarters in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I was asked to be an early adopter and help make Charlotte our new headquarters and home.
Awesome. So you relocated with Diversity after the Sealed Air acquisition.
I did.
So when did you land in? I'm trying to remember because we did that whole Sealed Air Diversity deal, staffing that organization with that reload. Carol Lowe was the CFO.
That's right.
And she has been a longtime advocate and friend of Amy and I's. And I don't know if she was what spearheaded us getting in the door, but it helped us from a reputation perspective that she knew us. So they said, hey, reload your family to Charlotte. Had you ever been to Charlotte or you heard about us?
I was in Charlotte for a weekend.
Okay.
Oh, you did one of their tours.
I did one. I was their very first tour. We saw, I feel like, every neighborhood in Charlotte in probably about 6 hours. And
Oh, wow.
we decided we were going to make the move. We came back once, saw 33 homes in a weekend.
Oh, wow.
We bought our home and we moved here. And I couldn't have pointed on the map where we had bought. It was such a whirlwind. But yeah, you actually helped me staff my team at that point in time. I hired 60 customer care representatives, and Accrue was a huge part of making that successful.
What was going on in the business? Sorry about that. What was going on in the business at the time, other than they were choosing Charlotte for the headquarters? You had to hire 60 customer service agents. What was driving the need for the customer service agent in the business?
Well, in terms of, it was really to relocate the positions. We didn't necessarily relocate all of our customer service teams. So we had folks all the way from Canada, Wisconsin. We had a few out in California. And so the intent of the move was really to align the business in one place. And so unfortunately, fortunately for Charlotte, we were able to bring a lot of positions here for employees. Unfortunately for me, we had a lot of team members that opted to stay in their current locations. And so we rehired. I would say we were really fortunate that my management team chose to make the journey with me at that time. And so we were able to rebuild our organization. And the beauty in that is you get to learn from what you did previously and make changes, refine things. It's almost like turning the page in a new chapter, right? You have the opportunity to have all of your past information, but also be able to refine the things that maybe didn't work as well in the past or things that you could improve upon. It just became something that was always in place in this location.
Awesome.
So you moved the customer care center here.
We did.
Not often do people get to build a team of that size in their career. Mm-hmm. Looking back, what were some of the things that really stood out to you in those experiences? What maybe would you do different?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think what I'm most proud of in that moment is we were able to do that without customer disruption. So whenever you move a team, you're trying to take the knowledge that people had acquired over 10, 15 years with an organization and try to replicate it in somebody that you've trained for a month. I had such a strong leadership team around me. We were really able to take that knowledge and impart it on our agents so that our customers didn't realize that there was a difference. If I could do it again, I would probably move faster in the way that I added levels in my organization. So one of the challenges in most customer care organizations is there's not enough movement. And so what happens is when you have great candidates that are high potential, they might move, and they might move to somewhere else in the organization, but sometimes you want to retain that staff. So it's really putting in additional levels and growth opportunities for our agents faster to be able to help continue their journey with us and still build their careers.
We hear a lot. We've helped a number of companies relocate their headquarters to Charlotte since we know this market for the last 22 years. Was the cost structure what you thought? We get a lot of feedback on, labor is going to look like X in the South, right? We're the South, but we're, for all intents and purposes, one of the largest cities outside of Atlanta in the South. And I don't think people realize necessarily what the cost was. How did that hit you guys? And I know you've done it now at United Rentals again. Mm-hmm. You've built a huge team there. Has the finances lined up, or have the finances lined up as you thought they would?
So with the Diversity move, or the Sealed Air move to Charlotte, it was what we had planned for, and what was reality was different, right? And so I think that when they looked at the region as a whole, especially in pay structure, it looks very different than the Charlotte market, especially because there's such large companies here that you're competing mm-hmm. against, and you want talent. So that was definitely a learning experience for us. Where I am now, I think the larger challenge for us is ensuring that we're keeping up as the market has changed. Like post-pandemic, things have changed. Your salary expectations, benefits, what motivates an employee. And so I would say we're getting better at it. We're probably not the best at it, but we're learning as fast as we can. So you want to, when I think about this, it's how do you try to capture talent and retain talent in your organization? Because if you have a talented team, the promise is just is completely open. You have such ability to really further your organization and realize the potential that you have.
So you mentioned something about earlier talking about the relocation with Sealed Air. You were able to move and hire 60 people here locally without any disruption with the customers, which is certainly very important from a revenue perspective, and they're getting what they need. When you look back through that, what was the number one, initiative that allowed you to make the shift? And you've got people coming and going, people training, people probably leaving more sooner than expected. But what was the number one thing that allowed you to ensure that the customers were taken care of?
Yeah, I think that it was two things. I think our training program is the starting point of everything. So if you've got a great foundation, you can build your house upon. And you train, and then you release your team out to actually do the day-to-day jobs. I think the follow-up is ensuring that you've got a team that can coach and mentor your reps through all of those pieces, right? Nothing is standard, especially in that business. It really was on a customer by customer basis. And so what we did well, I think, was we captured our team in one spot, and we had stand-up meetings. We had regular coaching for our reps. We had consistent team meetings to try to continue to educate and get feedback from our reps of what was working and what wasn't, so that we could make changes to enable them to be successful. And at the end of the day, everybody wants to be successful. And I think if you give them the opportunity to provide that feedback and you take that into consideration and you implement, people are going to want to do the right thing, and they're going to try to help you help grow the organization with you.
How many people do you have now at United Rentals? And it's a large inside sales customer service group.
I finished diversity. I had about 85 at the time when I had left. I now have about 350 plus another 50 that are outsourced and BPO partners.
Yeah.
So my organization looks a little bit different. So
right.
Diversity, I had account managers, I had customer service, I had technical support, I had sales operations. Where I am now, we have half of my team is an outbound sales organization that supports a smaller customer base across North America. Inside sales, I have a digital team, as well as I have a traditional customer service team. So the makeup's a little bit different, but the reality is, at the end of the day, the actual function of what we're trying to do, and that is really engage with our customers, make our company their first choice. All that is the same. It is really trying to ensure that you've got your processes in place. You've got a really great coaching model to help develop your employees, and hopefully an engaged workforce that want to help you be successful as not me, but make the company as successful as it could be.
Is there a coaching model that the company prescribes to, or that you prescribe to, that you train your direct report supervisors, managers, directors, whatever their title? Is there a coaching model that you like to use?
Yeah. So what we've implemented with, or I've implemented with multiple teams now, is a formal coaching session once to twice a month per rep. But really, where I think the biggest value is that indirect coaching. So it's those side by sides. It's in the moment coaching.
Yeah.
Let's sit down. Let's listen to what you're doing. Let's look at the processes together, and let's try to figure out what opportunities we have, and let's celebrate what we're doing well. And then I think prescriptively, you want to take that and you want to replicate what's happening well across different groups. And I think that side-by-side interaction really helps advance the organization.
We talk about a lot of that at Accrue. I mean, we coach the candidates we place. We coach after we place them. We coach our clients. And so, we have a feedback model here that we use. So I always like to hear about what clients are using. And I do think catching things in the action right in the moment is better than a one-on-one. You can actually see things happening and celebrate or course correct, when needed.
I think that's where you get your gems, right? Like those are the times that you're going to find those unexpected moments, or the things that you didn't know was happening, that you might go, gosh, like that's brilliant. That's how you close. That's how you close the sale. Let me take that back to the rest of the team and try to share those successes. Then I think feedback's a big thing, right? So it goes two ways. I can be invested in your career, but you need to be invested in your career. And so how do we help one another? What works for you? What doesn't work for you? And how do we come to that that continuous improvement cycle to allow you to grow.
Mm-hmm. Tell me the other thing you mentioned earlier about post-COVID, motivating, engaging the team is different than COVID prior. And I know we've talked about internally when we're staffing your organization about the in-office, hybrid, performance-based, work from home, hybrid environment. What is it that you're seeing? What trends are working for a 350-person customer care inside sales organization? How are you getting that done and satisfying your company and your employees? Because it's a toughie.
It is a tough one right now. You know, there's definitely a real desire by many people to work from home full time, and I see some value in working from home. I enjoy working from home a couple days a week personally, but I also recognize that there's a lot of value in being with your team. And if you're by yourself, you never get the opportunity to see what great looks like in a different way than you.
Yeah.
And so what we did was we wanted a balance. We understand that people want that flexibility. And so what we've done is we've developed a work from home model that is earned. So if you are knocking it out of the park, you can earn most of your days each week at home. You still have a component that you need to come into the office so that others can learn from you and you can learn from them. But basically, if you perform well, you have the ability to earn the right to work from home more frequently. And it's interesting, you know, especially post-COVID, it is all about benefits for people. Like pay is always going to be important, but benefits are really important. Flexibility in my scheduling, the ability to work where I want to, time off. These things are real motivators and desires for employees. And so we're trying to adjust with that because we want to ensure that we're providing enough flexibility that you can get what you need done in the place that you want to work, but also empower you to share what you do well with others and learn from others. And so that office environment's important.
Yeah. So you shared that the importance of being in person, knowing what good or great looks like. How do you onboard your customer care talent in the beginning so they can start to earn that additional time to work remote?
Yeah. So what we do is we have an in-class component that is fully in office. And then we spend the first 90 days in office so that we have hands-on support from our management team, our leadership, and then we also do nesting with peers to ensure that we can get comfortable, you can get comfortable enough with your role to be able to perform to the level. And then based on your results over the first 3 months is how you start to accumulate your points to determine how many days per week you're working from home. And so what we find with that, especially, and we've changed over the last year, right? So we started with 30 days at home. We believe that 90 works best for us. And that's really, it's giving somebody enough time to become proficient and independent in their roles and feel comfortable enough to make decisions and serve our clients in the way that they need to be served.
Well, it allows them to plan for family too. If they didn't get the 90-day bump to work from home X number of days, they can be flexible and find childcare or whatever care they need at their house, dogs, whatever, to be able to do that. We have a hybrid schedule here and we try to be flexible. And I think flexibility is the key for everyone right now. It's like we all have to work and we all have jobs and we want to contribute to the success of the company, but just looking for ways to do it flexible, but yet accountable.
100%. And we want to help you get there, right? So we saw a performance uptick once we rolled out this program. We'll continue to do that as it makes sense, but we're also flexible enough to know that if something changes in our environment, the way things are working, is that I'm always open to revisiting what we're doing to try to make it look like something else for the betterment of our company and our employees. But right now, we feel really comfortable in what we're doing, and we've been very successful as a result.
You've done 2 headquarter relocations of customer care departments, or customer excellence is a word that we hear a lot of our clients, building customer excellence. What are some I guess, reasons why other companies would say, hey, let me move my corporate office to Charlotte and set up a 230 person inside sales team or an 85 person sales team from Canada or New Jersey, or in the case of United Rentals, I think they were combining southern operations down in Florida, northern operations up north, and they chose Charlotte. What are some things that you've seen and experienced to give other companies advice or cautionary tales?
Yeah, I think honestly, Charlotte is, gosh, it's just a mecca, right? Everybody I meet's a transplant. It's very rare to find that unicorn that's actually from Charlotte. And I think because it's such a great city, a lot of talent has settled here. Whether it's working for one of the large corporate headquarters that are currently here, or people that are newly graduated out of school. It's a great climate. It's a growing city. Costs are still fairly economical for your employee base. It's rising like everywhere, but it's definitely it's not a Chicago or a New York.
Right.
But truly, I really think that it is the opportunity to build an organization with talent. There's very few places I've personally worked at where I've seen such a large talent pool in one place.
Yeah. Well, and I think for Amy and I, we've always talked about when clients choose Charlotte as their headquarters, when they relo here, it's really important to do it well. And reputation management, what community give backs are you doing? How are you branded in Charlotte? Because even though we're, fifth fastest growing city, I think we still have that mark. If you come here and you don't hire well, it only takes 4 or 5 phone calls, especially when you have to hire 300 customer service agents and you're recruiting them from XYZ company and you take 5 of their people. It takes one bad experience that nobody from that company will ever go to your company. So
That's right.
We really try to explain relocation, and Charlotte is still, we are getting a lot bigger where it used to be the smallest, biggest city you ever meet. That is kind of changing, but candidates talk to each other from other jobs. And if it's Bank of America or Honeywell or Wells Fargo, they all talk. And so it's not just the internet talking, it's real people chatting.
Absolutely.
And so having good partners and being able to, figure out what geographic location that you want to be in, where you're going to attract the population, because even though we're hybrid, they still have to drive to work. And the traffic is, we do hear that from anyone. It's like, how far is the drive now? And COVID has really put some, what's that called? You can't remember, muscle memory. People have lost their muscle memory on how to drive to work in rush hour.
They forgot what traffic was.
Yeah.
It's very true.
So you do have to really put a concerted effort about how you're going to come in the market, what you're going to do, how you're going to invest, what are your benefit strategies to compete against the 5 top call centers. I do know when Sealed Air came, the transformation office came to inside AccruePartners and said, talk to us about the market. And we did a synopsis, what I call market study, and we showed them the top 5 employers, the top 5 call centers, and the top compensation, and maybe some location things.
Right.
And that can help someone decide, do we want to be at Tyvola Road by the airport, which is where Sealed Air was initially, and then went south to Fort Mill, and then United Rentals is way up, at the IBM Drive, old CIC Wachovia headquarters area. So you get a totally different geographic skill set of employees.
You do. I think, though, and you started, you were hitting on that, is I think you've also got to differentiate yourself by culture as well, right? Because employees do talk. So you can have the best benefits, you could have the best pay package, but if you don't have a great culture, your candidates are going to choose somewhere else. And I think that the older I've gotten, the thing that I've recognized most within my career and in myself is fit is important. You need to choose a company that you are going to work for, that your values align, and that you can see yourself growing with. And so that comes with culture. Everybody has different drivers or motivations, but for me, I'm looking for a collaborative culture, somewhere I can grow, somewhere where my ideas are recognized, and I have the ability to have the ability to be able to implement change. Those are my drivers. That, again, that differs for everybody, but that company culture is so important. And if you don't have a good one, you're right, candidates talk. And it's hard to attract that talent.
Yeah.
Yeah, we always say that in Charlotte, it is such a small, even though we're growing from a bigger perspective, that candidates talk, and we're a very non-forgiving city. right? It only takes, back to Patty's point, one experience and it spreads like wildfire.
That's so true.
It's that way in the restaurant scene too. Like
Yeah.
a new restaurant I'll open, if it doesn't have good service, it isn't going anywhere. Like you can have I just drove through South End at lunch, like 3 new breweries up. And I'm thinking, I hope these people have great customer service, because Charlotte is pretty unforgiving about customer service, good hospitable experiences at work, out to dinner. It's the same thing. It is kind of the culture of the South, kind of that hospitable, collaborative, taking care of, giving. I mean, it's not just at work. I find that everywhere in our community.
Yeah.
That's so fair, honestly. You know, places that I choose personally to engage with or shop with, you know, for me, they have to be able to provide me a great experience each and every time. I want to make sure that they're ethical. Those things are important. And then price comes down for me, right? It's important, but it's not as important as some of those other things.
Yeah, consistency, i.e. my $30 Postmates for a chicken sandwich and a large unsweetened tea at lunch. I was like, I just paid $30. I mean, and it was sweet tea instead of unsweet.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I was like, darn it, this customer service wasn't good. So you talked about collaborative in your style. What would be some adjectives to describe you as a leader? How do people describe working for you? Because you're leading big teams. I mean, you're making a big impact here.
I think one of the things that I'm known for is I will listen. So I have an open door policy, and that's not cliche for me. I really do. I tell our new teams, whether it's a CSR or if it's a leader, is that if you want to come and talk to me about your career growth, what's working, what's not working, if you just want to share with me what's going on with your life, I'm there for you, right? And that's important to me because I think people connections are really important, and that's how you gain trust to grow. So I think that is probably what I'd be known for. I think the second part is I'm probably pretty relentless. When I want something, I really want something, and I work hard to get it.
Awesome.
So that might be in direct conflict, but that's probably me.
I mean, you can have big ambition and still care about people, you know?
I think you have to care about people. Very rarely in life do you see somebody ascend to something without a team around them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And choosing the right people that are around you and caring about people, in my experience, that always gets you to that next step, that next level.
Yeah.
Are there particular qualities in people that you like to hire or attributes that just when you're interviewing, you kind of work an interview question around to help you figure it out?
My biggest one right now is curiosity. I don't know that everybody is curious. We live in a world where you pick up your phone and you can Google anything, right? And so I look for people who are curious to know things, to dig, to find out answers, to talk to others, to get more of an opinion. So I always have a question around curiosity. The second thing that I ask a lot is around what do others think about you? How would somebody describe you? And that always gives you insight, because oftentimes the way that somebody describes you is something you're putting out there. And that generally helps you get a better understanding of who that person is.
Yeah.
So let me ask this. We talk a lot about curiosity at AccruePartners because we have to be curious with our clients and our candidates and learn. And I find that the newer individuals into the workforce don't really know the curiosity, or we're trying to teach them how to be curious and what those questions look like, but it tends to become natural for some individuals and not so much for others. Do you feel that's something you can teach?
I think you can teach people a lot of things if they have the desire to be taught. I think that's really what the differentiator is. I think you can inspire curiosity in somebody, and I think you can do that through empowerment. If somebody's receptive to that, I think you can teach it. I think if somebody doesn't have that interest, like many skills, it's really hard for somebody to learn that. So it's something that definitely, I wouldn't say it's not that it's lacking. I think that you really have to look hard for these days.
Well, it's kind of like we have the phone, right? And it can be at your fingertips, but that doesn't create curiosity necessarily. And so those of us that grew up without the phone, we had to be a lot more curious in order to learn and advance and explore and understand. when we didn't have it at our fingertips.
Absolutely. It's that difference between instant gratification and having to work to understand something.
Mm-hmm. So you have done a corporate relo from Canada to Charlotte. You've built a second customer care call center. You've done a lot of great, interesting things in building people, companies, and careers. What is the most memorable thing for you when you look back on your career journey through all the great things that you've done? What is the most memorable?
I think the most memorable is, I'm really fortunate. I had a lot of people around me that were cheerleaders for me and helped me find opportunities. And so I had an opportunity at one point in my career to go overseas. It was actually to our location in India, and help teach them what the processes that we had built around our systems and our people. And that was like career defining for me, because I really recognized at that moment that, gosh, I did something that's repeatable and can help. And so we really helped build their customer care organization at that time. That was probably the most memorable. I always go back though, like when I think about the course of my career and like milestones and moments, it's always about somebody that was around me, somebody that was encouraging, that helped either me recognize something in myself or challenge me in a different way that I really had to think differently. And those were growing moments for me. And it's not always comfortable. And I tell this to a lot of people is that if you're comfortable, you're probably not growing. And so those moments sometimes were really uncomfortable, but those were the times that I really started to advance. And so now I know it sounds a little bit odd, but I embrace being uncomfortable, because I know I'm probably going to get to an end result that is something I haven't seen or experienced before.
Well, there's a ton of longevity studies about living to 100, that the only way you're going to make it to 100 is to constantly be uncomfortable. It's the only way your brain grows. So I don't have all the neuroscience. I'm not a neuroscientist, but there are lots of studies that if you aren't pushing and uncomfortable, that your brain isn't cleansing and doing all the things to advance. So it's really important to stay uncomfortable and do things like that.
That's a goal of mine, is to be at least 100.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I do. I just think that those things are life-changing.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I think that they make me a better person. I always think I have a long way to go in a lot of areas, but those are the things that I think help me continue to improve.
What are some technology things that you're looking at right now? There's so many different things coming in to help us all, be it AI or text to AI or some type of customer service AI to help answer questions for the agents while they're on the phone. What are some of the tools that you guys are exploring and being curious with right now?
AI is a big conversation starter in the customer service world in general right now. And it's interesting because it's where we're at right now. And I don't think this is going to be a long-term place, but where we're at right now, AI can't replace emotions. It can't have that empathy that a person does. And so there's a lot of focus around how can we use this tool to get your agents up to speed faster, to make them stronger, to train in a different way. So we're spending a lot of time around looking at outcomes. So what are those commonalities when something's not working? But more importantly, what are those commonalities when something is working? And how do we feed that information back to somebody live on the phone? So agent assist, being able to provide moments back to your rep to be able to trigger them to say something different or take a different path in a call. That is a really big focus. The other thing is just like our world is changing. People want to be met in different ways. So traditionally it was always phone service, then it became email, then chat became a big thing. It's really big now is text, right? So how do we start moving into not just an agent to person interaction with text, but how do we do some self-serve there to be able to provide that customer the right experience at the right time, and then monitor for outcomes that are unexpected. So, and with that, when you look at these processes, you're looking for processes that are repeatable, that you can get those same results for. And what that does is that takes that aspect off of an agent's plate and allows them to really think about more complex processes, procedures, decision making, and hopefully it helps people feel like they're making a difference in their role. And burnout's a big thing, so you want people to think differently, use their knowledge in different ways, and so that's kind of how we're bringing in AI and different avenues to work with customers into today's world.
Yeah. I think I've said this before, but AI is kind of like the human common denominator. Anything that's common and repeatable, AI should be able to over time, but it's that complex thinking, or it is something that requires a different thought process that maybe over time machine learning and advanced languages will catch up. But for the common thing, it should be able to like advance us really faster.
Confidence in your messaging is such an important aspect of gaining someone's trust. And AI is really kind of like that help button to get you there.
Yeah.
If you've trained it properly, it's going to help you be able to give that the right answer at the right moment.
Yeah. Well, and as a customer, sometimes you just expect an AI response. I mean, like Amazon now, and they're delivering to your house and you're getting text or whatever. I mean, it's AI.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it. They're solving a problem. But if it gets something complex and that can't help me, I really want to talk to someone with a brain.
Yeah. And you also want someone to understand what your issue is.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Like that empathy is a really important aspect.
Mm-hmm.
It's wanting to be heard and someone receiving that information and acknowledging it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's moving so fast though. Like,
how are your teams adopting it? Are you getting resistance? Do you have people taking the lead with it?
We're a slow roll at this point. So we're slowly introducing things. We've introduced moments this year. It's 50-50, right? So you have to sell the value. And part of the way that I sell value is you need to be transparent as to why we're doing this. Because it can be scary also, right? Like there's a lot of unknown when it comes to AI for a lot of people, in terms of what does this mean for my role? What does this mean if I don't do something anymore? So again, we have a slow roll in terms of offering moments, and that's really within our sales organization where it will pop up suggestions or checklist reminders of things to say at the right time. We'll get more advanced as that goes through, but I think you have to gain trust to be able to get that adoption rate. And so that's really where we are. Talk to me in a year, we'll be in a different place.
I think everybody's playing and trying to figure out how to use it best, and Copilot, in Outlook. And I talked to a kid yesterday that's at college, and he's like, they're in Copilot every day in school. So, we're pushing Copilot within our platforms. And it's like, well, these kids in 2 years this is what they're going to use. So we really got to get up to speed. So I'm looking forward to all of that technology pieces.
I think it's really going to change not just the way we do things, but the jobs that are available. I think things are going to get more, I think especially in the customer service world, things could get really interesting for a lot of people. You will be able to, instead of answering that repeatable call each time, you might be somebody who is managing multiple bots and looking for like those outcomes that aren't correct. You might be somebody who is training the tech, because you still need to train that technology to make sure that the right answer is being provided. Mm-hmm. I really believe that it will change the types of jobs that are out there for folks and expand upon skill sets.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. We saw that happen a lot just in the automation component, not AI in accounting. So if you would have asked Amy and I in 2019 that accounting would be the hottest thing that we've got in 2024, we probably would not have believed it, because automation was impacting the function of what I will call the specialist. So an AP specialist or an AR specialist, very transaction, same stuff over and over again. And so robotics came in and basically replaced that worker. And what it did was it did narrow the number of people and the headcount required, but it also upped the game and requirements of the existing employees to be more of an analyst. So the automation took over all the data entry and all the repetitive, common work, basically. And the thought-provoking, more detail-oriented or analytical audit stuff like that was replaced by analysts. And while there was a shift of workers, we did see that lower level worker go away. But what's happened years later, lots of technology infiltrating accounting, it requires a higher level of employee. There's still that $60,000, $70,000 analyst, but they're not doing the repetitive work. And so it thinned out one layer, but then it created a new layer.
Additional layers.
And I think that's what AI is going to do. You know, some of the common questions, you're not going to need, those folks to do that, but you're going to need people to do the more difficult, more sizable the sales that have more gross margin opportunity or higher revenue share for the company,
Right.
where the lower level transactions should be able to be handled by AI, robots, or whatever.
Yeah, I think that is exactly what will happen in our space as well. I think that the benefit, listen, like I think it's a high attrition when you look at customer service compared to some other industries out there. I think this will help us get longevity because it keeps people learning, and keeps people fresh.
They don't get bored.
Yeah,
Mhm.
boredom's a real thing. Burnout's a real thing, right? And so I really think that challenging somebody, giving somebody something new to learn to do, I think that really helps engage people.
Yeah, and the younger workforce wants interesting, different work. They might just have to start at a lower level role and they're trying to navigate. So your customer care, I know we've had a joy filling all of those roles because you can say this organization has so many opportunities. This is just one entry point. You can go into the field, you can go into corporate, you can do all of these different things, but you do have to have the foundation of understanding the products to advance. So we've really enjoyed, we've been able to captivate a lot of people that would have never heard of the role, outside of us calling and saying, let us tell you about this exciting, build out that's going on.
Honestly, it's an exciting time at our company. I would say one of the things that I am proud of with our team is we had over 10% of our team members across all of my different teams move into promotional opportunities last year.
Wow.
Like, I feel like that's big.
Yeah. Congratulations to you.
It's a joy to watch people grow and learn and be able to use their skills in a different way. And then I think that makes it a success story for others coming in to see that there's a path.
Yeah, there's a story to tell.
Yeah.
It's proven.
It's one of the things that I'm proud of. I appreciate you thanking me, but it's not really me. It's the team that does this. It's the people that are helping develop our frontline team members each day. It's our frontline team members who want to take that extra step, that extra mile to really be able to embrace their full potential.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you do have a very responsive team. I mean, good, bad, or indifferent, the communication is definitely, you can tell, important to the organization. Sense of urgency, you can feel it.
I think communication in general and transparency is just something that, listen, I think that telling people whether they want to hear the end result, so it's the message they want to hear or they don't, I think transparency is just such an important aspect of building trust and engaging your team. It really goes back again to culture, right? You want to be able to have people trust you and understand the whys behind things. And that really will help your organization build and hopefully perform.
Mm-hmm.
That I would say is one of the things that we work hard to ensure we're doing each and every day. It's important to me that everyone in my organization, one, feels valued, but two, feel like they're contributing. And I walk in every morning with the weight of, I want to ensure that each of my team members feels valued because I know, one, they're going to do a great job, but two, they're working for something else in their life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's a promotional opportunity, it's because they've got something at home, it's a financial benefit, et cetera. And so I want to make sure people understand that they're important and they matter.
Yeah, they can accomplish that in their work family.
Yeah. It's their second home. We spend more time there often than at home.
Yeah.
Right.
So I guess maybe let's move to rapid fire because you were talking about your career and you've had 85 people, now 300 and something people. Like, what was the best boss that you had to help you get there? Like, if you look back, I mean, you had a pivotal moment going to India and being able to stand up your operation there. But who was the boss that just really helped you, or a person that influenced you?
Gosh, I had a manager at one point who just believed in me more than I believed in me. And that's saying something because I believe in myself. But she always knew how to push me a little bit further, challenged my ideals, challenged my ideas, always wanted to make it, always pushed me to make it bigger. And working working with her, it was not always easy, but I learned more than I ever have in my career. I learned how to prioritize better, how to lead a project, how to go into an executive meeting and ask for what I needed or what I thought was the best thing for the organization. And I guess it goes back to pivotal moments. She really supported me when I went and I asked for a huge investment in technology because I knew it was the right thing to do. And she didn't blink. And it was because I would never have done that without her. She really pushed me to feel comfortable to be able to move the organization forward. And I got it done. And it was really as a result of her. But I had to tell you, I've been really lucky in my career. I've learned from every leader that I worked under. Generally, the things that I want to adopt, and I always say, let's steal great things. But also sometimes you learn what you won't do or what doesn't work. And so I've been really blessed in the fact that I've always had a learning experience.
Yeah, I think you learn as much from a bad boss as you do a good boss, of what you want to be and what you don't want to be.
100%, 100%.
Yeah.
And gosh, I just hope that, I hope I'm teaching somebody a good thing.
Yeah, you are.
So that's a good segue to the next question. What is a saying that you're known for?
I will tell you, you could ask anyone and they'll say you're only as strong as your weakest link. And I mean that from a team environment, is that you have got to strengthen the chain to be able to elevate and move forward. And so that is that I'll coin that as mine. I know it's not, but I'll coin that as mine.
But when that comes up, you're only as strong as your weakest link. How does that get the team behind fixing a problem or being willing to commit to change? Because I think a lot of times that comment to me is change.
Yeah.
And people are scared of change. And usually what the weakest link is, but it's usually a big rock. Like it's a big one to move.
Yeah, I think that it, usually when I use it, it's really around like, how do we rally as a team to move something forward? So, just what you said there in terms of it's usually a rock. It takes more than one person to make that move. And so it's identifying that and then figuring out who can help that. Who's the most talented? Who has got the best idea? Who's going to be able to help lead us to move that forward? And sometimes it's the most unexpected person. But it's really rallying for me.
Yeah, I can't remember. We did a behavioral assessment one time with Brian Formato, and it was a strengths finder instead of like DISC and some of the others who define your personality traits. This defined your strengths, and I thought it was super interesting in here. I think mine was all one dominant color, but we had some people in here that had high focus, high intuition. They were the purples.
Yeah.
And we didn't have a
There were
lot
5
of them
on 'em.
inside of Accrue. We had a lot of orange and yellow, which is dominant achiever, go, 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 get it done kind of people. Significance, achiever, commander. We have a lot of those here.
Yeah.
But there was 2 or 3 people that had a lot of purple. And what was interesting, and it's still to this day, Harrison's one of them, they're like high top performing billers, but they don't ruffle feathers a lot. But
They're
when
silent giants.
Yeah, when they speak, they have the biggest ideas in the building. So I loved that because we sat around the room and had our little colors, and I would walk up to Amy's and she'd see mine, I'd see, and you'd kind of know what you were getting ready to approach.
Yeah.
And I kind of already knew a few of the fellas that were that got the purples. It was mostly men that got the purples. It was very interesting because it was like, oh, I knew that about you, but it wasn't what I leaned into, but it's that person's strength. So we should have been maximizing the hell out of it, instead of trying to get them to be all like us, orange and yellow, But I think that's fascinating to get those kinds of people to move the big rocks, because the little rocks are those small changes you can make that really do last a lifetime. But the big rocks are what makes the difference for any company. It's getting that technology improvement that might have cut some jobs, but advanced something, or creating a new line of business that's so painful of a financial investment, but the long-term game is bigger,
Yeah, I think that's really fair. And I think it also speaks to the need for diversity on teams, right? you never want a team just made up of my personality type. You want those people that can challenge, that think differently. Like for me, that's how you get things done. Those are the most creative ideas. You want a subset of all those different personality traits in the room, because I really do think that that's how the best ideas are generated. And it's your watch outs. Everybody's got a blind spot.
Yeah.
Different personalities have different blind spots, and they can sometimes see yours more clearly than you. Of course, you can't see your own, but it's truly being able to capture all angles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Personalities are so fascinating. So where do you live in Charlotte? Let's turn a little personal. Where you live in Charlotte? Like, what's your favorite little spots? What's some things about Charlotte?
Yeah, so I live down in the Palisades area, which I love. So when we did move here, I did find out where we lived. We've been there for about.
You got lucky.
We are really lucky. It's a beautiful
now,
area.
did you have your children when you moved here? I don't think so.
No, my 2 girls were born while we've been here in Charlotte.
So you really did luck out with a really nice neighborhood for kids then.
We did.
Well, and now you were telling me on the phone the other day, they have 2 citizenships.
They do. So my girls are U.S. citizens because they were born here in Charlotte, North Carolina. They're also Canadian citizens. So they hold 2 passports right now, and we're working on getting them their European Union because my husband was born in Europe.
Awesome.
So they are going to have options in this
You can
world.
escape anything and go anywhere, whichever way this goes.
They don't even know how fortunate they are.
Right.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
They will have that ability to go where they
That's
want to
amazing.
be.
So instead of you working to travel, you will work to send them traveling.
That is correct. That is correct. Mind you, I don't know. I didn't know this about myself, but I think I'm a helicopter mom. And so my husband will talk about the future sometimes, and I'll say, yeah, I don't know where we're all going to university yet.
You'd be surprised the number of people that follow their kids to different locations.
So yeah, no, it's great. We love Charlotte. Honestly, I like neighborhoods, and Charlotte is filled with them. So
Yeah.
love going up to NODA to poke around for the afternoon. I love South End. And we're foodies, so I'm always up for trying something new. And if you have recommendations, let me know later.
Do you have something new right now for food? That's one of our questions we like to ask rapid fire. Like, what is your favorite? What are you checking out right now?
Gosh, they're standbys for me right now. My 2 favorites at the moment are I love Fuda Buddha, which is a little ramen shop in the South End. It's right on the rail line. It is really tiny, but they hand pull their noodles, and they have the best broth in town.
Wow, that
they are
sounds
delicious.
interesting.
And then my date night is I love Steak 48, and it goes back to service. They have the best service in town.
Yeah.
They are expensive, but I just have such an enjoyable experience each time I'm there. That is my go-to.
Yeah, I like the seats that are back towards the fish.
The booth.
Yeah.
The booth. Well, it's in the very back where they have all the fish,
The
and you can
seafood
see
and
it
display.
That's lovely.
and display. I think that we've sat there twice, but you have to ask for it.
They've got booths at the very back that are glassed in that you look into the kitchen.
Oh, okay. I haven't had one of those.
Those are the best seats in that restaurant if you can get them.
Awesome.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I think.
Well, it sounds like you're getting out of your zip code. I mean, that's nowhere near the Palisades. You're all over Charlotte.
Yeah, no, it's you got to remember I'm from the Toronto area, so I love the diversity in neighborhoods. I want to try different things. I want to see different things. I love Broadway. I want to go see plays. My husband and I are huge concert goers, so whether it's the Fillmore or the PNC or Spectrum Center, like that's our jam. We work hard. We want to make sure that we get to enjoy our
Yeah, and
downtime.
Charlotte does have a lot to offer. You can find anything you want if you go look for it. It's not just screaming at you. You do have to search it out, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, it's got pretty much everything. And to be fair, it's growing, and there's new things popping up constantly. So that makes it really enjoyable.
Absolutely. Well, we're so grateful for the years of working together. You've been fantastic for a client when it's easy. We always tell clients, the longer we work with you, the more valuable both sides of the relationship, because we can just get to it really quick because we kind of know things about each other and habits and likes and don't likes and how to overcome something we know that you don't like, but maybe we're passionate about. So I appreciate the years of the relationship and, working together. Humans and talent acquisition is not always perfect. We can't sell a widget. And so you have to be patient. Sometimes these candidates do things and we work our hardest to control everything, but, we appreciate the relationship, and communication has been awesome through the years.
Gosh, I think you guys are a joy, and you've got such a great team around you. So really well done in building your own team.
Thank you.
So I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you.
Thank you.